Hello, my name is Liat, and I want to talk to you about why GMO, genetically modified foods, should be labeled in the US. Genetically modified foods are foods produced by by using methods of genetic engineering. These techniques have allowed for the introduction of new traits as well as a far greater control over food's genetic structure than previously afforded by methods such as selective breeding and demutation breeding. As of 2014, 64 countries worldwide are labeling GMO foods. Among them you can find the EU, Australia, New Zealand, India, and even China. And although 93% of Americans would like their foods to be labeled whether it's a GMO or not, according to the New York Times poll conducted in 2013, this is not the current situation in the US. Even the American Medical Association states that it believes that voluntary labeling is misleading unless accompanied by focused consumer education, and that mandatory labeling can only serve to mislead and falsely alarm consumers. Now, they're backing their position on by several scientific publications that have stated that no adverse health effects on the human populations have been reported in peer-reviewed literature to date. But there is currently no consensus on the safety of GMO foods. And this is because very little is known about the long-term effects and the safety of it. Now, there are many reasons for that. First one is the difficult in designing a clinical trial, a trial that would address such issues. And that's because the GMO food is not tested in humans before it is approved for marketing everywhere in the world. It is not a single chemical substance, and it doesn't have a specific dose, and it's not intended to be ingested in a specific time, and that makes it very difficult to design a meaningful clinical study. And in a clinical study, you need to establish either a superiority or a non-inferiority result of a food. And how can you state and how can you interpret such results when we know that there is a great variability in how people react to food? And how can you just isolate this specific food from the effect of this specific food from the entire alimentation of the human being, an entire meal, the entire diet of a person each day? The second problem that we have is with the regulatory authorities, with the health authorities. The regulators currently check to see if the food is substantially equivalent to their counterparts, which themselves are products of genetic manipulations via traditional methods of cross-breeding and hybridization. Now, there are claims that these assessments are not really scientific, and that it flawed in some cases, and that could actually allow harmful substances to enter the human food chain. We know that it was action by lobbyists just to reassure the consumers and to help the biotech companies, to help them save time and costs on more rigorous safety testings. And that brings me to the third problem that we have, and that's lobbying, the lobbying of the seed companies. the entire seed industry is dominated by only several seed and biotechnology firms. In 2013, 73% of the global market was controlled by only 10 companies. So, no truly independent research can be legally conducted on many critical questions regarding the technology due to the restrictive end user agreements that limit what can be done with such seeds. Moreover, there were several studies that were initially approved by the seed companies and were later blocked from publication when they returned unflattering results. So, what can be done? What can be done to just fix all these problems that we have? So first of all, the regulatories and the health authorities should act through legislation, by legislation, for the extensive biological, toxicological, and immunological tests to be practiced. We need more tests, but more serious tests to make sure that this food is safe. The second thing that we can do, that can be done, not we can, but can be done, is that the Environmental Protection Agency should require, as a condition for the approval of such food, genetically modified food, that independent research have unsolicited access or unfettered access to the genetically modified products for testings, just to have this transparency. And the third thing that we can do is to mandate labeling, and in this way to allow for informed choice of us, the consumers, to preclude potential misleading of consumers, and to facilitate the withdrawal of products if adverse effects on health or the environment do occur. So what we can do, what you can do for that, you can just sign up for polls, you can vote in your state for labeling GMO foods, and meantime you can ban and you don't buy products of non-genetically modified companies. I hope that in this way we can all lead for the labeling of GMO foods. So please join me and let's have GMO foods labeled in the US. Thank you.